Empowering farmers with intelligence. EFL AG-DATA presents to you. Hello everyone, welcome to the EFL AG-DATA podcast where we discuss the latest trends and updates in the feed and livestock industry. And this is the second episode of our podcast series where we discuss on the impact of tariffs on US feed ingredient exports. And of course, joining me today is our resident expert, Matthew Clark. Hello, Matthew.
Hi, Alvin. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good and hope you are too.
Lots going on.
Lots of going
yeah.
on.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, Matthew, you mentioned on the last episode, the competition from countries like Brazil and Argentina. But I want to know, and I think everyone wanted to know, how does the U.S. compare to these exports in terms of, the market share and disadvantages?
They've got some big advantages. Some of them hidden. The grain trade is all about money and getting CNF prices. But I look at it from a business and a technical perspective. There's some actual advantages for me for dealing with the US. Now, the US has been a reliable supplier. They've got great deep water logistics to be able to ship large volumes of crop, Pacific Northwest and the Gulf. But there's another factor that comes into this we don't look at too closely, which is the difference between the farming systems in North America and South America. So the North American farming systems are primarily in cold weather. They're harvested in cold weather, and as such, the crops are in very good condition when they're harvested. Naturally dried, by and large, especially for soybeans, and then they go into this refrigeration before use. Why is this important? It means that US soybean is technically superior to the South American soybeans. And this is important. The oil yield is higher, the soybean meal is higher performing, and all of this matters to the end user. So US is reliable, but the product itself, ex-farm, is particularly good. So we look at to countries like India and Myanmar, they're getting their crops off in hotter weather. It causes some problems with the mycotoxins in the corn to a certain extent, but also those soybeans are going to be subject to heat damage of artificial drying, and this affects product quality. Anything affecting product quality is going to influence the economic efficiency. So there's many factors going on there.
Yeah, you mentioned about farm systems and the quality, of course, as an advantage. But are there any specific trade policies that give Brazil and Argentina the advantage over the United States?
Yes, I think there are. There are some country-to-country agreements on volumes and on pricing, consistency of supply. Remember what China is after. They have a huge population. In the case of beans, they grow about 10 plus million tons of beans a year, only 10% of their requirements. China is highly dependent on stabilizing its supply of oils, edible oils, as well as soybean meal. So China tends to go for long-term view on these relationships, builds the relationships, holds them, and insulates the market from fluctuation. So it's not as dynamic as other markets might be to a large extent because of the very high need. And so this influences the dynamics of the trade. The South American crops generally have smoother flow.
So what are then the steps that the United States are taking or could take to regain the market share?
Well, I think they've got to continue what they do now, which is to technically differentiate their product from other locations. And this is relatively straightforward to do. There's more work to do on differentiating the beans off farm because, let's face it, with making soybean meal, it's just the same as making feed. Good soybeans, good soybean meal. Bad soybeans, bad soybean meal. So they will be focusing on that to give their product a technical financial edge that will enable better volumes to go through. We have to remember, though, that the volume thrust is likely to be towards soybean meal rather than soybeans in the future because of the big uptake in the US market for the oils for renewable fuels.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in into the second episode of our podcast series. On the next episode, we will talk about domestic market dynamics. And if you like that, please visit our resources section in our website and follow us in our LinkedIn and YouTube pages. Stay tuned, stay informed. Until next time.